Yeah, can everybody see my screen? Oh, no, yeah, okay. So it's clear? Okay, perfect. Cool. So everybody can see my screen. In front of you now is the Palladium software. And I have logged into AnyDesk onto my phone, onto my device. So this is going to be the mobile app. So after you've set up your mobile app and your API for it, and you've contacted us to set up your mobile app, then after everything is connected, this is what your screen will look like. You can see here that there's a main menu just for quick access on everything that's here. And that you can see that here's all the functions. Okay, sorry about that, Connor. If it's something a bit echoing, is everybody else having echoing issues? Connor, if you could just maybe just check your sound again, maybe just see if there's something wrong with the speaker or if you are using anything, you could just check on that. Okay, carrying on. We are going to start off with what the mobile device looks like. So just to show you, this is what the layout is. Yeah, you're not going to have a lot of different functions. It's not very complicated. It's just your basic functions that you have here. You have your capture, your POD, your sales order, sales quote, delivery advices, any transfers that need to be done. This is very good for anybody who's in the warehouse as well, doing stock count, for example, or if you're going to be doing any bin transfers. There's multiple things you can do. Okay, so starting off, we're going to be doing a sales quote. Okay, so once you've opened up your sales quote, you can see here that there's a list of all the quotes that you've originally done. Then you can either add a quote. You can see here that there's a little plus sign. If you add the plus sign, you can see that there's a new quote number and you can add a customer. Okay, then you can add a salesperson if need be, and a reference for it. Then after that, you can add in your items. And once your item opens up, you can see the location that you've set it for. We're just going to be doing default. And how many items you'd like to add. After this is done, you can click on add. Okay. Now you can see here that it's added my one item. You can look at the quote details. So you can see if there's anything that needs to be changed. You can also add in any discounts. So for example, we'll just add a 20% discount to the document. Then we can come into customer information, as well as emailing for any body text or anything that's going to be part of the email if you do decide to send an email. Okay. After your quote has been created, you can just click on this tick sign. Apologies on that. We'll just have to sign for it. So whenever the mobile device, whenever you do or create a quote or a sales order, there is a signature that needs to be put in. So we're just going to put JP. Yeah. So I've signed it up. I can now click and add the quotation. So it's asking, do you want to send the email? I can say no. Okay. After that, you can see that it's now being created. We can go back into the sales quote, checking the quote details, and we can go back. After you've created your quote, you can go into the sales order side, and then you can also create a sales order. We can also add the customer. It's basically the same process, just with a sales order instead. Okay, you can see all the details here, the customer information and email as well. We can then tick, sign for the document. And now our sales order has been created. You can see here at the bottom. Okay. Now, once this has been done, you can then move on to the delivery advice. Okay, now you'll see a list of all the delivery advices here. So all these sales orders. And once the driver or anybody has used the Palladium and is now dropped off the goods, you can then click on the sales order that you'd like to convert into the delivery advice. Okay. You can make sure that all the items is correct on each side. And you can check here on the order details. You'll see that there is a signature as well. The delivery advice will have to be signed up by the customer. So we could just put cust or cut. It's been signed by the customer. And then you can click on the tick. Okay. Now you can say that the delivery advice has been successfully added. And now you can capture a POD from here. You can either say yes or you can say no. In our case, we will say yes. And then we have a POD opened up for us. From here, you can do another signature to sign for it, for whoever did the POD. And you can add the POD to it. Okay. A lot of the time, now you can see here, a lot of the time, PODs are usually done via a invoice number. So if I open up my Palladium, that you see on the right-hand side, you can see that on the accounts receivable side, if we open up our delivery advice, and we can go back, you can see here is the delivery advice we first did. And we can also create a sales invoice from there. So if we convert our sales order that we'd like to create, or that we did create, after we've added it to the invoice, we can click on record. Okay. So from the invoice side, if somebody gives you a call and says, okay, we've added the invoice to the document, you're allowed to process the POD for it. So instead of the client, or instead of the employee going from a sales order to a delivery advice to a POD, they are able to scan the document for the invoice. So if they do walk in and they have the invoice with them with a scanner on the mobile device, you can then copy or scan the document. You'll see here that if we go into the PODs, that there is a scan for the document. You can click on your camera and then you'll be able to scan for the document. But in our case, I don't have a scanner with me currently on my mobile device. So I'm going to just add or type in the sales invoice that was given to me. After I typed in the sales invoice that was given to me, you can see here that it has now opened up that sales invoice. Okay. Now from here, I can click on the tick box, on the little tick on the top right, and my POD has successfully gone through. If we click on OK and we come back into the Palladium side, you can now see that there is a POD on this document now. Now open up and you can see that there is a proof of delivery from that invoice. Okay, this will automatically save on this side. Okay, that would be your sales quote, your sales order, and your delivery advice. The same goes for the freehand quotes And next, we can go through the bin transfers. If we click on bin transfer, you can see that it shows your bin transfer number, the from location bin that you would like to take from, and the item, and then you can choose the item that you would select that you would want to take from the default bin. Okay. Okay, apologies on this. So the from location, we'll add the item. And after this, you can then click on the tick box. Okay, apologies on this. This is just I don't allow for negative inventory in my Cape Town box. We can just redo this. This is due to my side. It's probably trying to update on the server side. Apologies on this. Let's go back. I'll get back to you with the bin transfer. Okay, so with the bin, after the bin transfer, we have the stock pick. The stock pick is if the employee has picked any of the items from the warehouse. You'll see that there is a ticket that has been done. So after any pick tickets have been created from any sales orders, you can do a stock pick, which allows the employee to see which items need to be taken from the warehouse, how many have been taken, and whether you can correct this document. Okay, so after the document has been picked, you can see that now the pick ticket or the ticket has now cleared and it has been picked from the warehouse. Then you have the stock count. Now you can either do a count 1 or count 2. We're just going to be doing a count 1, for example. We're going to search for one of the bins, such as training. Sorry, in our bin location, we will have multiple items. Apologies on that. Let me just check this quickly. Apologies on that. We can carry on. So after you've come into your stock count, you do your count 1, adding which bin is from the location, and you can add an item. We're going to be doing our inventory item, and now we've done a stock count of, let's say, 10. We now know that there's 10 of these in the warehouse, and we can add this document. After this, we can click on Save and click on the tick. After that has been done, if we come back into our Palladium, you can see that when we go into our inventory, and we come into stock count, there is a download mobile stock count. So if we click on that, it will then show us all the documents that have been updated from the phone. So we can just look for today's date. So we'll see here at 2/22, and we can click on download. We can then add the download to our stock count and close the document. I'll close that window. From there, you will try the entry method into actual, because this was actually counted from the mobile device, and we'll click on import. Then we will select the one that we've just done and click on open. Yeah, apologies on the errors. My API for the demo company has been on for quite some time. So this won't happen on your side when the API is logged onto yours. Okay. So after you've clicked on the import that you'd like to import, you can see here that there's an inventory item that we had. We counted that there was actually 10 from the document, and the variance is -2,000. Okay, at this specific unit cost. So doing the stock count from the phone, you can easily just download the document after the warehouse manager or the warehouse employee has edited or counted the stock. Okay. From there, we also have the warehouse transfer. So the warehouse transfer is from two different warehouses, our to and from location. So when we select our default as our from, and our to location would, let's say, be Cape Town, we can then add an item that we would like to transfer and how many items I'm going to be transferring. We can click on save, and we can click on the tick on the top right. Yeah, let me just fix that issue for you quickly. Yeah. Apologies on that, as my bin transfer and the warehouse transfer is having a bit of an issue. That's just based off of the sample company that I am using. It has been tested on for quite some time, so there is a lot of different things happening on the sample company. I do apologize on that. We'll have to get this sorted out shortly. So when you do create your bin transfer is a location such as Cape Town or Durban or your default location. And in each location, there is a bin. So when we select an item, we can have our from and our to bin. So from here, we can add from our from bin, we can add 30, and the to bin, we will add, so we'll add then from the training, okay. Now from here, after you've added in your details and you've had your location and your to and from bin, you can then just click on the tick box and it will go through from there. The same goes for the warehouse transfer from a specific location to another location. We'll just add the location in, such as Durban. We'll add the item, how many we're going to be transferring, and save. From here, you'll click on the little tick box, the little tick on the top right, and you'll be able to go through just fine. Okay. Now from there, that is basically your normal functions or your basic functions when it comes to the mobile app. A lot of the time, you'll see that there is a inventory inquiries by location. So this is in case you'd like to see what items you have in stock or on hand. You'll see here that I have 2,189 inventory items on hand, and there is different items in each of the bins. So you can see here that there's on hand and on hand for these two items. The same goes for the inventory inquiries by item. That was by location. And you can see here that we can just check what items we do and don't have. Yeah, apologies on this. My connection is just a bit off. Okay. Inventory by item. And we can see here how many items we have in each location. We can then go back and we can continue from there. Yeah. These are your basic functions when it comes to the mobile device. It is just the capture the POD, the inventory inquiries via location or by item, your goods in transit or your delivery advice, I'd rather say, your bin transfer and the warehouse transfer. All this does get updated and can be downloaded from the Palladium itself, such as when you do see the on the inventory side, you'll see that there is on the stock count, you'll be able to download any of the stock counts done, as well as going into the accounts receivable and seeing any of the quotes that were done on the device. So you'll see here any quotes that were done. You can see my reference on John that I have created on this one here. You can also go back into a sales quote, and you're also able to adjust any of the sales quotes or sales orders. You can see that there's a little pencil at the top right. You'll be able to click on it, and you'll be able to edit any of the documents. After the document has been edited again, it will ask you to sign once again. Okay, you can then click on save. And it will then save the document. When we go back into the sales quote on this side, and we go back one, you can see that the document has been saved again. Okay, so you can see here, sorry, wrong document. You can see here that the document number 5 has been adjusted 2 times. So you can see here that I can check both adjustments that were done on my mobile device. Okay. Okay, from there, that is all the basic functions. We do have the track user and the PO approval that will be set up on your company separately. So to make sure that any of the purchase orders need to be approved for delivery or for pickup. We also have the CRM activities. And you can add an activity for a certain group or sales order and add the type of action that you've done. There is the put away option, which is just for the GRV section. So this will allow you to do any GRVs onto into your Palladium, into your company. So after any purchase orders has been done, you can say, okay, it has been picked up and delivered into the warehouse. You'll be able to do a GRV for it. Okay. Unfortunately, my track user is not set up correctly because this is based off of your location and what device you use. I'm not going to be using the mobile device currently for any type of location purposes. So you can see here that I have insufficient access rights, as this is for admin purposes. Okay. Yeah, so if you have any questions, I can do so and ask now. You can ask now, apologies. You can ask now, or you can unmute your mic if you want to ask any questions. Okay. For anybody who is now just joined into the Palladium training, we are just asking questions right now. We just went through the sales order and just your basic functions on the mobile device. I will be able to send, I'm going to be putting my email address down and I will send the video on this for you. Runha, what do you mean by I need to be connected on my mobile phone? What do you mean by that? So it doesn't necessarily have to be your mobile device. We do, yes, you can. I'm still confused. So you can use your mobile. What do you mean by this? Because when we do create, whenever we create a new, or when a client asks us to add their mobile device, a API is quoted to the client, and then we'll add an API to their database. This database then has its own domain, and the mobile device gets connected to that database. So it is a bit of a process, and it has to be requested from Palladium. But you can use multiple mobile devices. You do get a lot of devices that have Android on it, and we do support the iOS version. So if there is any other devices for Android-based purposes that have scanners connected to them, then you can use those devices, not necessarily just your mobile device. But I'm still confused on the question that you're asking here, saying that you need to that it needs to be connected to my mobile device, or that you can use your mobile device. Okay, no, the mobile app is not included for the business partners. That is separated because it's per client, not for the business part. Well, not necessarily not for the business partners. The business partners would have to have their own Palladium database as well, and they'll have to request it from us. This is not included in the software for business partners, no. Okay, is there no further questions? Anybody will need to ask any other questions? Okay, so just to go through it again, just a quick briefing for anybody who's now just entered. There's these sales quotes that can be edited as well as created. Whenever a document is created, it has to be signed for. So you'll see here that when we select a customer, we'll have to sign for the document as well. And to change anything else, we can then sorry about that. We add the document, select the customer, then we add the item to it. And from then on, it has to be signed here at the bottom. You can see that there is a signature option. Okay. The same goes for the sales orders. And for the delivery advice, you would be taking a sales order and saying that there is that a delivery advice has been done for it. Okay. Same goes for the freehand quotes, but the freehand quotes allows you to create customers and anything on the fly. Okay, so when it comes to the package needing to be hosted, it does have to be hosted. But there is different occasions that if it is on your device itself, on your laptop, we can create an API on your device. It might take some time, but we will be able to create an API on your device that will allow you to connect to it. But please do be advised that your device will have to be connected to the internet at all times. So the mobile device, if it is in, if it is on your laptop, for example, or on a desktop, if that desktop or server loses connection to the internet, then your mobile device will not be able to be connected to that server or to the company itself. So just advise that it has to be connected to the internet at all times. Yes, and so yeah, that's correct. Yes. Okay, and also be advised that whenever a mobile device is created or needs to be connected, that person has to log in with their email address. So if you can see here, if we come into the control panel on our company itself, and we go into users, you can see that there is a Junior, Lasiba, and a Tvan here. So if we double click on this user here, you'll see that there's an email address. This email address is attached to the user. So the mobile device has to recognize the email address attached to the user as well as a password that was entered for the user. So that is the only ways it can log in. This is for security purpose to make sure that whichever invoices or quotes that were done is or can be seen on who did it. So if we come into our sales quotes or sales orders and we go back one, you can see that we can see who did it and on what date. You can see here on the left-hand side that there is an email address, which is the email address I have, and the password that is attached to the company itself. We can just log in from here. and you'll be connected. Okay. If you do sign out, you can see here that there's a sample mobile, or that there's a settings piece here, and you can have multiple companies. So if you do have a API available, this API is then connected to your machine, or connected onto your server, and from there you'll be able to access multiple different companies. So you can see that I have a sample mobile, which is my mobile testing company. We'll just have to add that to it, or go into and then log into the app. This will then choose our mobile, our sample mobile, or the company that we have chosen, and we'll be able to log in. So you can have multiple different companies in case your company does have that. Okay. Yeah, perfect. So is there any more questions that you'd like to ask? Okay. Seems like everything is fine. So in that case, we'll end off today's training on the mobile device, just on the basic functions. So again, if you would like the mobile device, you just request it from Palladium. Palladium will then send you a quote for both the API and how many mobile devices you'll have installed. We'll then access the mobile device. Then you'll have it also registered onto it. So if you come into the users, you'll see that there's a mobile side. So this can also have different access rights as well. But the mobile device, as soon as your first login appears on the mobile device, it'll ask you to have a registration key. So we do have separate keys for both the mobile device as well as Palladium itself. Okay, perfect. Okay. Thank you everybody for joining in today's training on the just basic functions on mobile device. And we'll see you again on next week, Monday, for another training session. Yeah. I hope everybody travels home safe and enjoys the rest of their day. Yeah. Thank you, everybody.